All right, so folks, thanks for tuning in. My name is Rajan, and I co-founded Upekkha with my partners Prasanna and Shekhar 4 years ago to give founders a space where they can create meaningful outcomes at their own pace and within their own control. The wave of valuation that is tiding over us right now has created a few lucky winners that they go to the shores and they become really, really rich. But what it also does is it dashes the dreams of many others who could have had similar meaningful outcomes, and that is the part of the valuation game that doesn't work for many founders. So we thought we should create a separate space for founders to create really good outcomes for themselves at their own pace, right? So we will talk with the Neil today, who has Neil Kothari, CEO and founder of uh, iZooto, who has charted his own space, and he's dealt with this such environmental pressure, and he's had a profitable growth. That not only there has been growth, but there has been profit as well. And we'll talk to him today for the next 45 minutes to an hour to learn how he charted this course and what is something that the rest of us can learn from. So welcome, Neil. So excited to have you here.
Thank you, Rajan. I'm also excited. This is my first
So
Value SaaS talk. So,
yeah, excellent. So Neil, the first thing that I would say is that I'm very, very thrilled. Thank you for posting that dividend check to us. As a shareholder, I'm very, very excited. But I'm also very excited, and thank you for letting us, the entire Upekkha team, to be part of your journey, which is exhilarating. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey of iZooto. How did it start, and what experiences shaped up like start iZooto and the last 4 to 5 years of your journey?
okay. So yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. The dividends check would keep coming, Rajan, because we're building a profitable company. We're building
Yay.
this company for getting the best returns for the shareholders. So, um, my own journey. We started iZooto in 2016. I'm sorry, 2016. I passed out from my MBA in 2006. So we started iZooto in 2016. But a bit of a background on my startup journey. I've been part of a couple of startups before this. Um, After my MBA, I was part of Airtel for a few years as part of their new product development and analytics team, and I spent quite a bit of time over there. Uh, Post that, I joined as a co-founder in an online travel startup. This is 2010-11, and the startup had funding from great investors. The funding amount was great. I mean, it was a very large amount for those years, but we could never launch the product despite having substantial capital and a good team. Post that, I was part of another startup called Voicetap, which started off as an ed tech, education tech startup, but ended up becoming a VAS company. The problem with being part of a VAS company was we were ethical, so we were not successful in VAS. So, and we made very little revenues as VAS business. And eventually, it also became an affiliate business. And just like most of the affiliates businesses, it did not have enough legs, and it got shut down in 2016. But what I got from there, I met my co-founders in VoiceTab, and um, uh, me, Vivek, Sachin, and Shrikant were able to spend few years together working, and we gelled really well while part of uh, that startup. And we started iZooto in 2016, and we've been hustling for last 4 5 years. Uh, but there has been a remarkable difference, and that has come from a lot of learning. Coming from an affiliate telecom background and building a product company, first we had to change our mindset. Affiliate mindset is a trading mindset. You make revenues every day. Product mindset is a create something mindset. So creation takes longer. It's an ongoing process. The rewards are slower to come, and it's a lot more. There is a lot of grind. Um, iZooto, when we built, the first use cases were around e-commerce. But while we were building for e-commerce, we started as a business. We started selling to travel, coupon websites, banking, publishers, all kind of customers. Whosoever was looking for push notification platform, we were going out there and selling. And soon we realized it became a nightmare for product managers and the engineers and the account managers. And we realized that it is not sustainable. You can't have so many ICPs, so many customers, each with their own requirements. And we also soon realized that a lot of them started churning out to platforms which are being built for their genres. So we had to pick one segment, and that was also the time when we started with Upekkha. And I clearly remember first few conversations that we had with Upekkha, where so much time was spent on product market fit, and also the fact that who are our right customers, why should we be serving them, why should they be having us. And these conversations almost went on for 1 year. But after a lot of intense work, I think, and it was a joint realization that publishers is the segment that we want to serve. And the reasons for that was one, publishers, when we started working with few publishers, we realized that they're extremely underserved on the marketing side, extremely underserved on the marketing side. And the impact that we were able to bring on publishers business was huge. And there was also lesser competition, and for a bootstrapped company we didn't want to get into a race of who raises more capital and wins the market. So those were great tick marks for us to go out there and build a business in that segment. So last 3 years we have been completely focused on building a product for the publishers. We are publisher first owned audience marketing platform. We're not only a web push notification platform, but we've built more channels. We're building a lot more capabilities on the data side, on the analytics side, and solving more and more use cases for the marketers sitting in the publisher's office and helping them engage and win their customers back. From a revenue side, we've since Upekkha, we've when we joined Upekkha, we were doing close to $20,000 per month. We are now closer to 400,000. So it's been a 20x journey of last 4 years with Upekkha.
What are some of the most critical turning points in this journey?
Choosing the
The last
segment,
four
I
years.
think, has made the choosing the segment has made the biggest difference. Focusing on one single segment and building a product for them has has made the biggest difference. It has also brought in a lot of confidence in the team. It has also brought in a lot of clarity on what kind of people we want to hire, what kind of conversation, how they should be trained, what kind of conversation they should be having with the customers. So while it might just sound a very simple thing, but it has completely changed the way organization has been built, the way engineers are being hired, the way product team thinks through the product. It has been very critical.
Neil,
And
before I go further, I want to make a small request. Do you want to adjust your cam a little bit? It looks like
sure,
your photo is not coming. Yeah, this looks good.
sure,
Awesome.
sure.
That's good. So, Neil, tell us a little bit about yourself, like about Neil himself. Before the startup, what were you doing? I know you come from a business background. Uh, Tell us about like what did you study, where else did you work, and how did it all shape up for you to become a founder and an entrepreneur?
I did my MBA in 2005-6 from Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, and right after MBA, got a job in Airtel. And within Airtel, did a lot of operations work for first few years, and then was part of new product development and then strategic teams over there. So got great exposure to telecom from sales, customer success side, and also a lot from a data analytics perspective. Uh, right after, but obviously, all corporate jobs come with some amount of frustration on the politics or the appraisals. Somebody's getting a better appraisal than you while you've worked much harder. So and that those were the triggers which pushed me to look out for a some startup kind of experience. And that's when I started looking out, and happened to find a couple of my batchmates who were building a online travel startup. So joined them. They had already raised capital. I was not the main founder over there, but I was part of the co-founding team. And we hustled for 18 months. While the product was built, we spent a lot of money. We raised a lot of funds, but we were never able to ship out the product because of regulatory and legal challenges. And some of these challenges I've learned over a period of time that some of these challenges, especially on the compliances, regulatory, and legal side, they take a very long time for smaller companies to get resolved. Uh, and there are just so many external factors that there is very little control as well. Post that, joined VoiceTab. VoiceTab was recently founded and had a great vision to build product around the education side. This is 2011-12. Built out apps for helping people learn English, helping IITians, helping students to prepare for IIT or MBA, etc. But we couldn't discover a revenue model at that time. Paytm did not exist. A lot of other financial ecosystem that is available today did not exist at that time, and we eventually started working with telecom operators and became a vast company. So lots of learnings on the failed businesses, on what to be careful about. Uh, so yeah, that's
So,
a bit, and
so
then we started iZooto in 2016.
So you talked about your corporate experience and wanting to do more as being your itch to do a startup, and that's how it led to the first startup that you did. But what was the reason for you to choose bootstrapping at iZooto uh, compared to the other paths that you had taken in the past?
Um, the first year, before we started with Upekkha, uh, the reasons have changed, and that's why there are two paths to
Sure.
why we continue to remain bootstrapped. The first part of being bootstrapped was that we'd just come out of all four founders had just come out of a company which was plagued by investor issues. And while not that it was a great business, but at least there were revenues and some outcome could have come out of that business. But because of investor issues, where investor owned majority of the company, there was very little control of the founders, and that eventually led to the destruction of the entire wealth that had got generated in that business, and the business had to shut down. So we came from a mindset where we had a lot of disdain uh, for angel investors, and we did not want any investor to come on board, at least till the time we built the business. This is how the first 12 or 14 months were like. But eventually, once we became part of Opeca, we realized that there are just lots and lots of benefits of remaining a value SaaS founder and not go out there and raise capital. The other, obviously, the fact is that we became profitable very quickly within the first year, and that has allowed us to remain to sustain ourselves and also grow.
Awesome. So with iZooto, you said eventually you picked a segment and then you zoned on and working with publishers on the marketing side. And what is your vision for these marketers? Like, what's the vision that iZooto wants to steer these marketers towards, to marketers and
So
publishers?
right, one is we're not out there to make publishers' life easy, right? We are challenging them, right?
Okay,
Online publishers for long have built. We're challenging the marketers and the publishers, not challenging the publishers per se. Uh, the publishers for long have built their businesses on renting the audience from Google and Facebook, right?
that's right.
And they don't call their website customers as customers, they call them visitors. They do not have CRM departments, they do not have marketing departments, they do not measure the lifetime value of the customer, right? Because
Exactly.
that's how the businesses are built. And so we're going out there and we're challenging all of those notions, and we're telling them that they need to own their audience for more revenue models to open up. They're dependent on ads, but they want to open up revenue models around subscription, around e-commerce, but none of that will come unless they start owning the audience, right? And so we are going out there not only educating them but also providing the platform wherein they can own the audience, have direct communication with the audience, understand their audiences better, and build a long-term larger relationship with their customers.
Understood. So in this entire journey, what are some very big surprises for you, Neil, that you did not anticipate would happen along the journey?
So
And what were some of the learnings?
right. Uh, there are always two surprise. I mean, there are good and bad surprises. Uh, the biggest surprise always comes from people. Sometimes you invest a lot of time with certain people and they leave, uh, and uh, uh, and you do not anticipate that at all. As an entrepreneur, I think those have been the biggest surprises when where you thought that somebody is going to be here with you much longer, but they leave the company for better opportunities, and that is fine. So those has been those are the most challenging and the difficult surprises. The happy surprises are the ones where customers come back after churning. I think nothing delights me personally more than customer churning out because they don't like the platform or they don't like the pricing. They go to a competition and in few months time they come back because the competition was not able to match the expectations they had. It only possibly matched the pricing expectations, but the product expectations were not met.
How
So
often
nothing
have you
is more
seen that?
grateful than sorry.
How often have you seen that, customers come
Very
back to you?
often, very often, and especially in the publisher space, it happens all the time. We also realize that sometimes when a publisher when publishers work for with the same platform for a long time, they get a lot of communication from outside that the other platform is better and they move out. But it has happened just so many times that publishers themselves have come back realizing that we are a much better platform than the competition, and as
So
an offering we are a lot more competitive.
on that note, what is the most impactful story from a customer that you've heard?
Oh, I've had customer meetings where when we walk into the editor's room, we are hugged
Oh,
because
wow.
because we've helped them overachieve their targets, right? Some of the most delightful stories are around the first couple of quarters when they start using iZooto because their targets have not accounted for additional 20-25% traffic that they are going to generate, and suddenly they are overachieving achieving their targets by 25-30%. And uh, that's those are obviously extremely delightful moments. And but I've had meetings where uh, publishers confess that iZooto is their lifeline or their targets are completely dependent on how well iZooto performs. That also puts a lot of additional pressure on the system, on the performance of the system, on our uptimes. But those are great moments, those great meetings to be in. So
Awesome.
with some of
I
the
think,
largest publishers that we work with, we are powering close to 20, 25, 30% of the traffic.
wow. You almost answered a part of my other question. That was going to be, what was your highest high and lowest low? I'm pretty sure, getting a hug from a customer definitely fits into the bucket of some of the highest high in your entrepreneurial
Yeah,
journey.
yeah,
Are there any
absolutely.
other
No, but
highest high in
yeah,
this entire journey?
we gave out our first dividend a couple of days back,
Absolutely.
which you were talking about. Those has been that the dividend itself is 3x the amount that we invested 5 years back. So
Kudos to you. It's so
yeah, so
heartwarming to hear
those are
that.
great highs for all four founders. I think it has taken a lot of sacrifices and a lot of focus to build a business in a certain way. And a lot
Absolutely.
of thanks to Opeca on the kind of principles on the business and how we look at our business, how we are shaping up as a business. I think a lot of it has come from our interaction with Opeca and the other co-founders.
And what are some of the lowest lows? I'm sure there are many. Every day there are something that are not working. But what would you say were some of the lowest low in this entire journey for you as a founder in iZooto, or maybe even longer?
Uh, See, I this is what I when we speak to a lot of we end up being part of Upekkha community. I end up speaking to a lot of Upekkha founders, which are all small startups or product companies, 15, 20, 50 people companies, are not massively funded. I've realized that a lot of most of the founders live with some kind of insecurity and betrayal, feeling of getting betrayed. And that typically stems from some people leaving or Indian customers, they promise something and they do not fulfill the commitments post going live uh, or or do not make payments on time. Those are really tough times for any entrepreneur when they're dependent on certain people or certain clients and those commitments are not met. For us as well, the stories are very similar to a lot of other small company founders face with larger Indian companies, that they do not make the commitments. They do not fulfill the commitments that they make at the time of what they've promised while they've onboarded the platform.
Right. Now that you have grown to this scale, how do you continue to stay on top of everything that is happening? Initially, when you started out, it might be in a small room where the four of you, Vivek, Sachin, Shrikant, and you would be huddling together as the initial team. And now you're at 100 people. How do you stay on top of things? And how do you scale this from your own perspective of the leader of the company?
Uh, One is we are four founders. I do not consider myself as someone who specializes in everything. So I do not even attempt to be on top of everything. I completely depend on Sachin or Vivek to independently run their part of uh, the puzzle and deliver on that, and completely trust the co-founders for that. So and this I've learned the hard way. I think just like all other every other founder, I tried focusing on each and everything and realized that I could not focus on something that I really can do, my speciality, my strengths. So being part of a company where we are four founders, I think has helped a lot to keep control on a lot of things, keep checks on a lot of things, and also not be insecure if some critical people have left the company in the past, right? Because there is always a founder to step in and fill the shoes or take control, take charge. So so that is one thing. The second thing is obviously in last 1 year we've tried to build a lot of processes where information flows into us, whether it is on the finance side or the legal side, take external help. And a lot of this we learned from while we were part of the Upekkha first 2 years. A lot of things have come from other entrepreneurs on how they are keeping control. Few things we have learned and built our own processes, and openly sharing the knowledge within the co-founders and the larger community has also helped build a lot of processes.
So, Neil, what is one of the most funniest or the most craziest thing that you've seen happen at iZooto? The most funniest or most craziest? I know you have some crazy story, but I want to see which one you want to pick.
Now,
One crazy thing.
I'll share a crazy and a true, obviously a true, but a crazy story which was also very scary. So
Mhm.
in the initial days, we had gone live with one extremely large publisher, very well-known publisher, and I had made the sales effort and gone out there and asked them to, and they really liked the platform, and they had gone live on their website. 15-20 days into the entire um, uh, onboarding journey, one day we realized that there is some problem with our code, and anyone who's opening the website, he's landing into Amazon.com, because
Okay.
somebody had hacked one of the some affiliate sitting in Indore had hacked our code and inserted the affiliate script. And every time somebody opened that website, that large publisher website, they would land up on Amazon. And it was at that moment it was extremely scary. It just lasted for a couple of hours. We were able to track that person, as well as we were able to reach out to Amazon, also apologize to the publisher. But it was I look back and I realized it was extremely funny as well, that here is an extremely large publisher, and anyone who's opening that website is actually going on Amazon and not getting forwarded to Amazon and not on the publisher's website. But yeah, those are scary moments. But I've realized that all small companies do go through some of these uh, scary moments where you believe that it's going to shut down, because there is, once you do this to a customer, there is no way that as a company you're going to survive. But yeah, I look back and I find it extremely funny now. But at that time, I thought we were going to shut down.
Wow. So you talked about Value SaaS, you talked about Upekkha community. What does Value SaaS mean to you? How would you describe that?
Right. Our belief in value SaaS, we are bootstrapped for a reason, and that reason is our belief in value SaaS, right? I've seen that a lot of companies start tracking vanity matrices. They're just like the likes on Instagram post. It doesn't move anything, but you feel extremely good about it. And one of the things we've learned from Upekkha and being part of this community is that every action, everything that we're doing in our journey has to be for a purpose. Even if marketing or PR is being done, every dollar that is being spent is being done for certain purpose to build a certain business, and that has allowed us to remain profitable. So anyone who's any hands-on entrepreneur who wants to build a bootstrapped or with very low funding kind of company, I think Value SaaS is the way to go to get the maximum buck out of every dollar that you have to create more optionality and better outcomes for all the founders, everyone associated with the business. And it is not a go big or go home kind of race. Lots of small businesses can succeed. A lot of small product companies, SaaS businesses can succeed. You don't necessarily need to be doing 100 millions of revenues.
Awesome. And during the last COVID, the first wave of the COVID, a lot of companies went through a tough time, and you lent a hand to some of the Upekkha startups in form of an extending a loan so that they
Right.
can tide over the difficult times. So, what are your thoughts about the Upekkha community itself, and like what is it meant to you?
No, so helping at that time was extremely natural. Opeca community is created uh, so that entrepreneurs can stand up uh, for each other. It was a tough time. We obviously helped a couple of entrepreneurs with very little funding, but it allowed them to
Survive.
allowed them to survive for few months and get their business back on the feet. Extremely glad that out of the two companies that we supported, one is doing really well. They're back in the business and they're doing so well. Um, but I think what I'm more proud of is the fact that we obviously got the loan back from the first company, which is doing well. But the second company, the entrepreneur obviously was not able to keep up the commitment to pay back the loan. Again, the entire Upekkha community came together and made sure that one entrepreneur is able to keep the commitment and iZooto gets its loan back. Right. So the power of community is not only that there are one or two semi-successful or successful startups who have lent out the money. The power of community is that even those guys are standing up to make sure that the entrepreneur is able to meet its commitment of paying back the loan after 18 months. So it's extremely beautiful. It is extremely reassuring for any entrepreneur to be part of this community. That not every day you're going to win. Not every attempt that you're going to make is going to be successful. But when you fail, there is somebody who's right there standing for you, who understands what you're going through, and not only gives advice to on the business side, but also is there available for you for a conversation, for helping you out.
Awesome. So, what are some of the things that you would tell a new founder who's just starting up on things that he should keep in mind, or things that he should just follow so that he makes lesser mistakes?
Right. I think of it like a prescription, right? The prescription that doctors give us, and we go out there and get the medicine, and we start having those medicines because we trust the doctor. Uh, so f- uh, there are prescriptions for certain aspects of the business which cannot change. As an entrepreneur, it's extremely important to understand where the prescriptions are valid and where they are not valid, and they have to discover it themselves. Right? There are prescriptions available for almost everything. For 100% everything, for every part of the business, there are prescriptions available from a lot of people out there who are giving these prescriptions or advices, all with good intentions. But as a founder, it's very important to clearly understand which one you want to take and which one you want to apply, and which are just not valid. To give an example, prescriptions on legal financial compliance needs to be followed like a doctor prescription. There is no way, right? And I you need to take someone's help, and you need to go out there and do everything that they tell you, right? But on sales and marketing, there are no set prescriptions. There are ideas, there are experiments which has worked for someone may not have worked for hundreds of others. You need to discover yourself what is best for you, what is going to work for you, what is going to work for which customer, and which product, right? So sales, marketing, and a lot of other things, there are advice and prescriptions available, but you need to figure out how you take it and how do you apply it. uh, uh, and it may not, most of the time it won't work for you, but you need to figure out what works the best for you. But then on the legal, finance, compliance, all of these things, there are very set processes which must be followed to the T.
Yeah, yeah, it's so very well said that the most important skill to learn is to figure out which advice to take and which one to discard. And I love your framing of saying that there are prescriptions, right? Some prescriptions are doctor prescriptions, some prescriptions are like a pseudo doctor prescription. So be careful about the pseudo doctor prescription, and like develop this ability to distinguish between what is a good prescription and what is something that you'll
Right.
have to experiment yourself.
Right.
Is there any question that I should have asked you, have not asked you, and you want to share with the viewers?
No. Are there any viewer questions, or is it a session where they can ask questions?
I think so. Yusuf may like send them our way, but in case there are other thoughts that you want to share, add or question that do you want to talk
No,
about
I
them?
just have one thought. Any SaaS founder out there who's looking to build a value SaaS company, is looking for a better outcome, does not believe in uh, go big or go home kind of philosophy. Do speak to Opeca founders. There is definitely magic happening over there, and it's a very strong community. And I believe that in few years it will possibly one of the uh, best SaaS community out there in the world. They are also going global, so uh, just reach out to Rajan or Prasanna and talk to them.
By the way, folks, I didn't ask Neil to say this, but Neil, thank you so much for that vote of confidence. Prasanna, me, Shekhar, the entire Upekkha team are such a big fan of iZooto and what you guys have done. I mean, incredible to be part of your journey. But thank you for that vote of confidence to us as well. We can call this today's session a wrap. It was so fantastic to talk to you, and it was good to relive some of the moment. I remember the a conversation we had around the time the hack had happened. It was crazy time, right? So it has been a joyous, fun ride for the last 4 years and for many more years to come. And good luck to the entire iZooto team for bigger and better milestones for us to achieve together.
Great,
Awesome.
Rajan.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely
So
brilliant
we'll
to be on the call. Bye bye.
yeah, we'll sign off for now. Bye, folks.
Bye. Bye.